Welcome to this week's Travelin' Young. I'm not sure what day of the week this will be posted, so I will not declare the day now. And honestly, it doesn't matter because in the future, when somebody's watching this video like 9 months from now, the day of the week will be inconsequential. So let's just act like it's
what we're counting on.
Any day, every day. Any day, every day here at Travelin' Young. And this week, we're going to talk about the things that we didn't know existed until we moved to Denmark. There's a few things we've learned since we've been here.
A lot of things we've learned, I think.
Yeah, there's and I bet we have a list.
We do.
But I bet we'll think of other things while we're talking. But there you go. Things we didn't know existed this week on Travelin' Young. All right, let's start this off, and I'm going to let you go because I knew this, so I don't want to be accused in the comments of this. I want to keep a separation. Like we should build I want a pillow wall between you and me for this one because I don't. This is not apply. This doesn't apply to me. Please go ahead. Go ahead.
I did not know that Danes were also Vikings. I said this. I'm sorry. I thought that they were just like Norwegian and Swedish. I didn't realize that they also came from Denmark.
I mean, yeah. So
sorry.
That's
I have no excuse other than I'm American and we don't learn that much about Denmark.
We don't. Well, or Vikings.
Or Vikings. We have various stereotypical, like the most we learn is like Thor.
I think we go from like Rome.
It's not even a Viking.
I think we go from like Rome to World War I. Yeah. Basically how it works.
Just skip over everything.
Yeah, maybe there's a little 1812 in there. Oh, I'm sorry. I guess it's Rome to American history.
Yes.
Then it's like, I guess there's stuff in Europe that place exists.
I know.
I mean, honestly, I'll give this to you, although Vikings were about battles, but I will say that, like, European history in America is basically just war.
Well, it's like
if you think about it,
it's like England, France, and Germany.
No, but it's war. It's like there's nothing you learn about really European history that isn't tied to some kind of like big conflict. Yeah. With the exception of like Roman civilization and and those kinds of things, but otherwise they don't sit and talk about the everyday good day in Denmark, for example.
I didn't know either that Iceland had been a part of Denmark.
Yeah, but that's more acceptable than the Viking thing. I'm just saying. All right, the next one is we've talked a little bit about the music scene because we're big music fans, and we didn't realize there was such a good music scene here.
That was one thing that we were really worried about.
So many festivals and so many opportunities to see music that we love. I just didn't even realize that because there aren't very many Danish artists that like make it so much in America to even know or be aware.
Yeah, I mean, I remember before we left, we were like, let's go to every concert that we can get in.
I did a goodbye tour of all my favorite artists.
Yeah, exactly, because we thought we'd never see them again.
And we've seen them all, most of them. A couple haven't come over. A couple, like Drew Holcomb, we've been able to be in the U.S. to see when they were there. But yeah, that was a nice surprise.
Yeah.
All right. The next one.
I think you should do this one.
Sure, I can because I'm getting very into this now.
Yeah, he's super into this, you guys.
Yeah, Danish furniture and design. Like we didn't. I think like we're always been cheap furniture people. I think there's like. I'm not going to say two types of people, but let's say there's two types of people. People that spend the least amount of money possible on furniture, that was us.
Yeah.
And people who spend more money on furniture and maybe buy a nice quality thing that lasts them forever and they hand it down and all that stuff. My IKEA stuff is difficult to move from room to room and it like shatters like a house of cards when but I'm a pretty inexpensive furniture guy, so but I'm really intrigued by it now.
Yeah.
And that time when Kira was here and we went to the house of Finul to his actual house.
The actual house of
I was super fascinated by walking around his house, and then I've been to when I was in the U.S. I went to a Frank Lloyd Wright place.
Yep.
And he designed some furniture, although they also had some other furniture that wasn't his. And I just started getting more into the Danish design. And I just went to the Danish Design Museum, just got more into all that stuff a little bit. I think it's fascinating. And I think maybe we'll make small investments in some Danish design furniture that we'll have forever. But that was something we didn't know too much about because we lived in the room store / IKEA section.
We thought room store
of the
was
furniture.
Fancy.
Yeah, exactly.
Fancy
The table back there, we've had since we've been married 22 years.
Yeah, like 22 years.
And that was like the big deal. Like we can buy furniture for like an entire room at once. Yeah, we can afford that.
And the fact that it's real wood and not particle board, like we're very proud of ourselves.
Yeah, and it's lasted 22 years.
I'll say this one because I was really surprised by this that Denmark has so many islands. I had no idea. There's like 400 islands or something crazy. And I just had no idea. I didn't.
Yeah, there's the archipelago.
Yeah, the whole archipelago.
And south of Thun. And
then you got the whole U-Pass, which we keep forgetting to bring with us.
I've only got a couple stamps in it because I don't have it. Why don't we keep it in our glove compartment? Then it'll just always be there.
We need to do that.
Yeah, because I think I've only got Samsu and Eru, I think are the only two.
Yeah. Yeah, and we've since been to like Oru and Fanu, Fur.
Yeah, Fur.
Fur.
Yeah, quite a few islands that... Although I think in some of those places it's a little... Owls, I think, actually has one too.
Yeah.
I think it's hard in a few places to actually find the place to get the stamp.
That's true.
It takes some work.
Maybe.
But yeah, that was a surprise. Next would be Karen Blixen, because not that we know a ton about her, but we're aware of the movie Out of Africa.
Yeah.
And I didn't know she was Danish, really. In fact, that might also be because I never watched the movie Out of Africa. I only know there's the movie. And it was like, it was kind of big when I was a little kid, and that length of movie, like, the word drama and movie when you're like 8 years old is not interesting.
Then you get old and appreciate Meryl Streep and Robert Redford.
Watch a long drama that I can like take a nap for an hour and still wake up and see the rest of the movie and be okay. So Karen Blixen is super exciting, and I want to learn a lot more about her because I think she's a big part of Danish history and culture.
Yeah.
I'll
do this one because I think this one is equal. You had heard of Handball.
Yeah, I had an old boss who was French who played handball.
But I had never heard of it. I had no idea. Even after we moved here, I was like, because when the handball championship came to Denmark, then everybody started talking so much about it. And I was like, what is happening? Why is everybody talking so much about the handball champion? What even is this? I still don't really know anything about handball, but I've watched some finals, and it looks very exciting. I still don't know the rules.
I don't understand. I watched a video when somebody was explaining the rules.
Yeah.
And that didn't really help.
Okay.
That didn't help. I was thinking about and then I thought maybe if we find like a PlayStation game about handball, and then playing it, I'll be forced to learn the rules. Yeah. But it's not very many options. It's not so great. I've heard bad reviews. EA Sports doesn't have one, and they're like the mecca of sports games.
At some point we talked about like finding a place that could give us like a beginner's crash course in handball.
Well, I actually wanted to if anybody who watches this, by the way, works for a handball team,
you want to teach us
let me know, because I would love to do a video at a handball team with the team learning about it. I mean, that would be amazing. I would even gladly make a fool of myself acting like I know what I'm doing.
I want you to come out with like a sweatband.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sure. So let me know if anybody's actually connected in the handball world, because I would love to. That's the way I think I need to learn. I need to
exactly.
apply
You need to learn by doing
and do something. Yes. Yeah. So one big thing we didn't know existed that we've gotten some use out of is after school.
Yes.
And we didn't know anything about this till we moved here, and we're like, what is this all about? And Maya, I mean, she had such an amazing time. That's where she met Vilas, so she's still very happy about everything related to after school. But that was super cool, and this is not a thing in the U.S., so that's something that we didn't know existed until we moved to Denmark.
Yeah. Not at all. And she went to a great one, so, shout out to New Nordic Youth. You were great. She loved you.
And I feel like I should do this one. I mean, this is a thread that hits on a couple of videos because it's related to parking, but a peace give, where you set the dial... Skiva, whatever.
Yeah.
Where you set the dial to the time at which you parked. I have never, ever seen that until I moved here, which is one of the reasons why I made mistakes early, because training...
didn't know what to do.
I mean, I'd driven for 20 plus years, and then having to retrain my brain every time I parked to, remember to do this thing.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that, and that's not a happy discovery, by the way. Now, a funny discovery...
was door handles. So... This was...
Well, we knew there were door handles.
We knew there were door handles, but we'd never encountered... And, I mean, I had encountered, like, the windows that have the handles that, like, if you do them one way, the window kind of tilts. If you do it the other way, it, like, fully opens. But we'd never run into, like, locking a door, having to lift the door handle up to lock a door. And I remember Josh... like calling me kind of in a panic because he's like, I don't know how to lock the door.
This was, I talked about this in the integration video because that was a mistake in not knowing how to lock the door.
Yeah.
And now that I know more, it's fascinating because you basically, when you're doing that on those doors, it's like putting additional like locks into the door frame and stuff.
Yeah.
Which being like in such a safe place, I'm a little surprised that you would think
you'd need that
would be in Chicago before it would be in Denmark. But we didn't know that existed, and that's why I struggled for like not an hour, but too long.
It was a while.
Too long trying to figure this door handle out. The next thing is a beer focused thing because I never knew about Easter Brew. Never have seen.
That
or
was a
experienced
very
an Easter
happy
brew.
discovery.
That was a happy. Yeah. I mean, I'm on my friends when we got here. They're like, "Hey, it's Easter beer season." I'm like, "What?" And
what's that?
I'm like, "That's so cool." I just this idea of like seasonal beers that like the entire country gets behind and all these breweries participate in is just so cool, and it's something I didn't know was out there, Puska Brew, before I moved here.
Yeah. But then I forget, did you know about Christmas brews?
Well, I kind of knew because
I
knew about Christmas brew because France and Belgium and some of these places have like, you know, Noel beers, and I experienced that before. But Easter, I'd never seen Easter beer before.
No.
Yeah, this is fun as tech people.
Yeah, this one we learned, I can't remember when we learned this one, but the Bluetooth actually comes from King Harold.
Yeah.
Or Harold Bluetooth. And it was because he kind of brought everybody together and found a common way of communicating. And so that's how they got the idea of Bluetooth. Naming a
Bluetooth. And the logo, the Bluetooth logo, for those that don't know, is actually his like
Danish rune.
His initials.
Yeah.
And that was something. And that's one of those facts that you just drop on Americans when you're around them that make you sound like really?
Super
I didn't
smart.
know. Oh my gosh, I've seen this logo so many times. It glows on one of my devices and I had no idea. Yeah, Harold Bluetooth.
Yeah.
The namesake of Bluetooth is something I learned when I got here. And the last thing is, I think the first thing that people tell you when you get off the plane and land, and then you talk to a friend.
You have to know this.
Well, I think there's two things. Sometimes people start with Denmark winning.
Oh, the Euro.
The Euro. It depends on when it is in the season when you get here. If soccer's a big thing or not at that moment. But the biggest thing is that Denmark has the oldest flag in the world.
Yes.
I had no idea that it's the oldest flag in the world. And that's fascinating.
And it has a fascinating story behind it. Like the whole lore behind the Dannebrog and it falling from the sky.
Yeah. And so we're going to end with that. And I'm going to say that if you have never seen this video that I put, I don't know if it's like the most effort I've ever put in a single video.
It was a lot though. You did a lot of traveling.
I went to Estonia. I went to Lithuania.
Dedication.
I went outside my house. I went to other parts of Denmark, the Statens Museum for Kunst. And I shot a whole bunch of content to support this video about the lore of the Danish flag. And I did it because it is such a interesting thing to me that I didn't know that it was the oldest flag. Not that I'd ever been in a situation that I needed to think about it, but it blew me away. I didn't know. And that it's such a, important part of Danish culture, and so many people are tied to it and have a sense of pride around it. Is interesting to me. And so if you haven't seen that video, see it below. And that's where we're going to end. The Danish flag being the oldest is something we did not know before we got here. So there you go. We're going to...
Maybe if there's other fun facts.
Let us know. If we don't know, please tell us.
Something unique, though.
And we knew about Lego and stuff like that, by the way. Yeah. All right. We're going to end with that. We'll see you later.
Bye.